All right, good morning, everybody. My name is John Agoli. I'm the Deputy Director of Global Friends of Afghanistan. Thank you so much for being here. To kick off today's event, I'd like to have Professor Brad Jensen from the McDonough School of Business welcome us all here. Sir.
Good morning. It's great to see you all here. As John mentioned, I'm Brad Jensen. I'm a professor here at the Business School. I'm also a co-director of our Masters in International Business and Policy program and the director of our Business and Global Affairs program. On behalf of the McDonough School of Business and the Walsh School of Foreign Service, I would like to welcome you to Georgetown University. We are delighted to be hosting the Global Friends of Afghanistan's first annual conference. We're grateful for the opportunity to serve as the venue for such an important discussion and to host such a diverse and distinguished group of participants. Here at Georgetown, we believe that social change, be it climate change, income inequality, public health issues, or immigration and refugee resettlement, typically requires the cooperation of the private sector, the public sector, and the nonprofit sector. And as a result of our belief that those three sectors need to work together, over the past 5 years we have launched new degree programs to train future leaders to be comfortable at the intersection of those three sectors. Our Masters in International Business and Policy program and our Bachelor's of Science in Business and Global Affairs. Both programs draw on the strengths of Georgetown, right? Our excellent schools of foreign service and business, our Washington, D.C. location, and our rich, deep, and diverse global alumni network. Okay, the impetus for Georgetown's involvement with the conference today, I think, exemplifies the power of diverse teams coming together. As many of you probably know better than I do, a little over a year ago, we had a group of our Masters in International Business and Policy students wrapping up international module in Frankfurt, Germany, as the Taliban swept into Kabul. So a team of our students, led by Timothy Tito Torres, organized an effort, including many others, to evacuate several hundred people from Afghanistan. It's a wonderful story, and if you're not familiar with it, I encourage you to reach out to Tito and ask him about it. The story is just so Georgetown and so what we're trying to do in these degree programs. So we're proud of all our graduates, though maybe we're extra special proud of this group of MAIBP students who pulled together on, informally and on short notice to help, real people with real problems. So when Tito asked if Georgetown would support this conference, we enthusiastically agreed. Right? We are delighted to contribute to this effort and look forward to the conversation today. I think that this discussion that will happen today exemplifies what we're trying to do, to bring the sectors together to make positive change. So again, welcome. We're delighted you're here, and we look forward to a productive day. Thank you.
And now I'd like to introduce the Director of Global Friends of Afghanistan, Jason Howk.
Assalamu alaikum. Chitorste, Chihaldran, Chigabas. Welcome. Good morning. Sabah khair. Everything takes a lot longer in Afghanistan. If you don't know that, well, you're probably not in this room. Thanks for coming here. It's so good to have so many people that care about Afghanistan in one space. I kind of felt the energy all morning, and I hope by the end of the day this turns into a lot of synergy. We've got the right people that came here, and I think we can get some of the right answers. Thanks to Georgetown. We really appreciate it. The conference team that puts this together, the attendees, the panelists, and all the working group leaders and our sponsors who helped make this happen. We couldn't have done it without all the sponsorship, so thank you. Put your phones on silent now. The college interns will be in. If your phone goes off, you're going to do their homework tonight. I'm kidding, maybe. All right, so GFA exists because we decided that Afghans would not be forgotten again. That was our determination. We were created in September of last year when a lot of us looked around and realized that all the NATO coalition governments and the press were ready to wipe their hands of Afghanistan and turn the page. And we watched so many evacuation groups, these citizen fire brigades that came to work that were already still doing evacuation and resettlement everywhere. And we just said it can't be forgotten. This is not going to happen. So we've been a collection of volunteers since the beginning, from diplomacy, military, academics, you name it. We've got a big team, over 50% Afghan, and we're still growing. So our job is basically to educate the world about Afghanistan and make sure that Afghans have their voices heard. So that's what we work on every day. And every single day since September of last year, someone has been on the news, has been writing, has been speaking, has been doing interviews, has been on a podcast, making sure that the word Afghanistan was out there in the press every day. So I appreciate all that work. We believe that the world cannot forget about Afghanistan again. We can't go back to the 1990s. We know where that road led, and we're not going down that road again. So thanks for everybody who's gathered here to talk about what's happening. In the 3 panels and the 7 working groups that meet today, we're going to seek to better understand the issues and find ways that the world can help Afghans to get themselves through this crushing time. There are no easy answers, as you all know. There are no perfect answers, but there are answers to the problems that are out there, and many of them are in your heads, and that's why we're having working groups today. We want to pull that out and see if we can use it. We're here to study the issues and share ideas, and we've extended the GFA network today. I think we had about almost 400 sign up for the conference. I'm sure there'll be around 200 coming in today. Normal attrition for DC. A few rules. Press, please get permission if you're going to film or photograph anybody due to some of the safety concerns of their families in Afghanistan. So just be cognizant of how you're using that information today. All questions are going to be written. There were note cards at the desk when you came in. There'll be volunteers going up and down the aisles grabbing your questions. So just slip those in and we'll work them up to the moderator. Make sure it's a question that you're writing on the card. We're here to look at current events and to move forward together. We're not here to only look backwards and cast blame or defend any past decisions. None of that is going to solve the problems facing Afghans, and there are organizations better suited for justice and accountability. So be respectful, open-minded, and thanks for being here. This is the beginning of a series of conferences. This is our first in-person, but we're going to have a lot of online virtual conferences where we dig down into all the issues we're raising today and other ones throughout the year. We're a diverse group, and we kind of count on that for bringing us through the next year and making another go of it. We don't exist to help any Afghans with their personal ambitions, as some may assume. Everybody here is a volunteer. Nobody's getting paid any money. If you're in GFA, I'm still wearing the same suit from that Louisville photo in 2016. So trust me, it's not going the way you think. We only can help Afghans who want to unify Afghans and make their nation stronger. If Afghans cannot unify and cannot gather behind a fair governance model that protects everyone's human rights, this cycle of violence is going to continue. We exist to help Afghans explain to the world and to each other how they can find a path to stability and peace. The entire team is very proud of who's come here today to speak. We know it's not easy to speak. People will throw stones at you as soon as you step up to speak, especially about Afghanistan. For Afghans, there's a double-edged sword because you're going to get it from other Afghans who think they should be here instead. But don't let it get you down. You're speaking out. We have to keep speaking out. And I've been pushing senior leaders to speak out a little bit more, so let's make them uncomfortable until they do. We know Afghans, it's especially dangerous for your families back home. So let's just remember the bravery it takes for all those Afghans that are still in the streets in Afghanistan protesting and speaking out, and those who choose to do so around the globe. We look forward to helping the world meet more Afghans and to hear from them directly in the future. GFA has launched a campaign with a seal. If you can flip to the next slide, I think there might be a little Twitter page on there. Nope, didn't slide in. It's all right. So if you go to the GFA Twitter website, Twitter handle, there's up at the top, our pinned tweet is about the ASEAL campaign. We're trying to help feed the malnourished children in Afghanistan. ASEAL is a highly transparent organization that targets food right down to the family level. And anybody who donates to ASEAL today over $100, show me your phone. I'll sign you a copy of my last book on Afghanistan. We just hope that you can pitch in a little bit and help. We're proud to partner with ASEAL. So right now, I'd like to introduce you to the workhorse behind this event and have his panel come up here. Tim Torres is, oh yeah, we'll pop him. We'll bring you guys up in a second. We've got a little video to run first. But Tim has been a real workhorse, and I'll talk more about him later. When you have a job to get done, you look for an infantry NCO passed, and that's who you grab because you know it's going to happen. And it'll be kind of pretty, in a way. You didn't have to throw anybody into the wire and do a body breach, but we're here today, and I thank you, Tim, because this wouldn't have happened without you. So we are also especially proud of our first military fellow in GFA, and we're looking to bring more in. So, Tim, I'll let you come up here in a second, and if we can cue the Richard Bennett video. The Human Rights Rapporteur for Afghanistan couldn't fly out. He's in Europe. That's where he's based, so couldn't make it here today. But we've got a video from him. He wanted to give his remarks. GFA has been partnering to help him identify human rights problems and link up with Afghans in Afghanistan to discuss the human rights issues that are going on. So I'll let him tell you what's happening.
Greetings, Salam Alaikum, congratulations to Global Friends of Afghanistan on the occasion of your first annual conference, held just over 1 year after the takeover of Afghanistan by the Taliban, and almost a year to the day after the last international troops left the country. In my view, this is not a day to celebrate. It's a day to remember, to reflect, and to reiterate a call to action. It's a great honor to address you. It would have been even greater to join you in person, but regrettably my travel and work schedule didn't allow it. My name's Richard Bennett, and I was appointed by the UN Human Rights Council as the Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Afghanistan on April 1st. I took up my duties on May 1st. I'm still new. My responsibilities include reporting on the human rights situation and making recommendations to improve it and to receive, seek, examine, and act on human rights information from all relevant stakeholders. I'm also mandated to assist in fulfilling the human rights obligations arising from international treaties that Afghanistan has ratified and to offer support and advice to civil society. My approach will be to integrate and highlight a gender perspective and to adopt a survivor-centered approach. My initial report will be discussed by the Human Rights Council on September 12th, and in October I'll be coming to New York to report to the General Assembly. On May 15th, I visited Afghanistan on my first official visit in this capacity. I found a very different country from that which I'd seen during my previous periods in Afghanistan beginning in 2003. Let me say first, however, that the human rights situation in Afghanistan before the Taliban takeover was concerning. Aside from the civilian casualties and other sometimes underestimated impacts of the war, there was a climate of impunity. Women were only beginning to attain their rights and freedoms. Corruption was rampant, and it was a poor country with deficiencies in economic, social, and cultural rights as well as civil and political rights. However, there were some institutions supported by laws that provided oversight and a measure of accountability necessary for any well-governed society. All or nearly all of these institutions and laws have been swept away. One of these was the Afghan Independent Human Rights Commission, where I've been an advisor, and which was recognized internationally, including with A status at the UN as an independent and effective national human rights institution. Other institutions to be abolished include, for example, both houses of parliament, the ministries of women's affairs and peace, the Independent Bar Association, and others have ceased to function. The 2004 Constitution was abandoned, laws were set aside, and the judiciary replaced. With a few exceptions, women were removed from public positions, including as judges, prosecutors, and lawyers. I'm fully in favor of accountability for crimes committed, whether domestic or international. It's essential for a stable society, and the lack of criminal accountability in the past has reinforced impunity. Accountability is essential for durable peace. Accountability to the people is also critical and must be built into the institutional framework in any country. Let me touch on a few of my observations and conclusions based on my visit and other information received. For clarity, this was an initial assessment mission, not an investigation. I was cordially received by the Taliban leadership. Several members met me, recognized the mandate I've been given, and confirmed that I could visit different parts of the country. And in addition to Kabul, I visited Kandahar and Mazar-e-Sharif. Mainly, I met with members of civil society, including at least 7 women's groups, other human rights defender groups, entrepreneurs, judges, lawyers, prosecutors, artists, former government officials, many others. I also visited schools, mosques, a prison, and a hospital. As I said at the time, Afghanistan is facing a plethora of critical human rights challenges that are having a severe impact on its people. The Taliban are responsible for the majority of human rights violations, not all, which they almost completely deny. Nor are they addressing concerns raised with them. Their policies and drive for absolute control has created a society ruled by fear. Nowhere else in the world has there been as widespread, systematic, and all-encompassing an attack on the rights of women and girls. Every aspect of their lives is being restricted under the guise of morality and through the instrumentalization of religion, as I've also said previously, in conjunction with my special procedures colleagues, and with great respect to Islam and all religions. This is not only through the suspension of girls' education, which is well known. It will soon deprive a generation of women from not only education but life prospects as a whole, but also due to Taliban edicts that have created severe barriers to livelihoods, freedom of movement, association and expression. In fact, all participation in political and public life. One woman I met in Afghanistan said this: "During the last months, I wake up with tears. I tell myself this is a nightmare because the future looks darker every day. I had dreams to study finance and open my own clothing business. I wanted to travel to many countries and learn from them and bring this knowledge back to Afghanistan. From one day to another, my and my friends' lives and dreams were hijacked. I want the international community to remember that without them, we, the girls of Afghanistan, can never win this battle alone." In this short statement, there isn't time to catalogue in detail all the human rights abuses being committed in Afghanistan. You may be aware of them already, and I set them out in my forthcoming report. The humanitarian economic crisis, which has already caused immeasurable harm to millions, has not abated and is predicted to worsen, partly due to the interruption of international development assistance and the freezing of Afghan assets abroad. Afghans are suffering, and reigniting the Afghanistan economy while minimizing any benefits to the Taliban is critical. There is little or no sign that the human rights situation is turning a corner. Indeed, the daily reports of violence, including extrajudicial killings, disappearances, arbitrary detention, torture, heightened risk of exploitation faced by women and girls, including for the purposes of child and forced marriage, and a breakdown in the rule of law, gives me and my special procedures colleagues no confidence that the Taliban has any intention of making good on its pledge to respect human rights. As noted, the abolition of independent oversight institutions, especially the AIHRC, has left Afghans with no avenues for redress. The administration of justice has been compromised and the applicable law unclear, and judges and other judicial officials replaced, especially affecting women. Press freedom has been suppressed, with access to information curtailed. Journalists, human rights defenders, civil society activists have either left the country or quit their activities altogether and gone into hiding. Many educators, artists, academics have been forced to do the same. Attacks on religious and ethnic minorities, some of them claimed by ISIL-KP, have also flared up, emboldened by the inability of or unwillingness of the Taliban to protect them and on this ongoing discrimination, especially against Hazara. Places of worship, schools and vehicles have repeatedly been attacked. I visited 2 schools in West Kabul that were attacked. One of them last year during Ramadan, a girls' school where 85 girls at least were killed, and another boys' school that was attacked this year with more students and teachers killed. I also visited a mosque a Shia mosque in Mazar-e-Sharif, which was bombed by a suicide bomber during Ramadan in April this year. I listened to those affected, including at the schools. It was so moving to hear girls stand up and say that they had survived the attack and were ready to learn again, but were banned at this stage from returning to school. Finally, I have great respect for the many individuals, organizations, including Global Friends of Afghanistan, and some countries that have opened their doors and their arms to Afghans fleeing violence and persecution. There's much more to do. I note that panels at this conference include discussions on acknowledging the evacuation and resettlement and immigration issues. Every day I receive appeals from desperate Afghans seeking help that I often feel powerless to give. There are also groups who've been left in US-administered camps in places like the UAE that need more attention. Friends, 1 year after the last troops left their country, Afghans feel abandoned and ignored. The spotlight needs to be turned back on their plight. More needs to be done. I'm delighted that Global Friends of Afghanistan is working on this. A year ago, my special procedures colleagues said that the international community will be judged on our actions, our fortitude, and our willingness to make our words about rights have meaning in this decisive moment. Today, I reiterate this call. Thank you, Tashakor. I wish you